Hey everybody, it's B-Nard coming your way with my 5th Pokemon team strategy guide. In this video, I'm going to be discussing the team that I used in battles 53 through 64 of my Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle series. So we're going to do this the same way that we always do. I'm going to talk about everything, including natures, EVs, abilities, items, movesets, so that you guys can get an in-depth understanding as to the strategy behind this team. So this time I actually didn't divide the team up into any particular order. They're just up there by Pokédex number. So I'm just going to get started and run down the list. So I want to begin with Pidgeot, and Pidgeot is modest, trained for special attack and speed, so it is the special sweeper of the team. The item is the Pidgeot type, the Mega Stone. So it is the Mega of the team, Mega Pidgeot, and when it Mega evolves, the ability becomes No Guard, which essentially gives you and your opponent's attacks perfect accuracy, which is very useful for Pidgeot because most of its attacks have less than perfect accuracy. So the moveset from most to least important, number 1 would have to be Hurricane for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to confuse, which is nice also. Then I would go with Heat Wave for more power coverage, accuracy, and a chance to burn, which is good. Then we have Hidden Power Fighting for some coverage and accuracy. And then finally Protect, which enables you to protect yourself from all damage for 1 turn. And really the strategy behind that is, especially particularly for Mega Evolutions, you guys might have seen this before. For those of you who may not know, when a Pokemon Mega evolves and it gets a speed stat increase, that increase does not take effect until the turn after it Mega evolves. So sometimes it's useful to be able to protect yourself on the turn you Mega evolve so that you can get your speed up. And to be honest with you, I didn't really use this much, but unfortunately, because Pidgeot's move pool is pretty shallow, I didn't have many other options, so I just ended up going with this. But great Pokemon all around. Was a lot of fun to use and worked out very well for me. So next up is Infernape, and Infernape is Adamant, trained for attack and speed. So it is the physical sweeper of the team. The ability is Iron Fist, which gives a 20% power increase to all punching moves, which is useful because half his moves do gain the boost from that ability. The item is the Life Orb, which increases the attack power of all of his attacks in exchange for HP on each attack, which is very useful for him because his attack stat is good but not great, so this lets his attacks pack a little extra punch, pun intended. So the moveset from most to least important, number 1 would have to be Flare Blitz for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to burn, which is nice. It does cause a lot of recoil when used, but that's often more than worth it to get rid of a big threat on the opposing team. Next up, we have Mach Punch for good power, actually, after it gets the boost from Stab and Iron Fist as well. Coverage, accuracy, but most importantly, priority. So that's always nice to have on your Pokemon. Next is U-Turn for power coverage, accuracy, and also scouting, which can be very useful. Obviously, U-Turn gives you a mandatory switch after it's used, so that can be very useful in trying to set yourself up for an optimum type match against your opponent. And then finally, we have Thunder Punch for more power coverage, accuracy, and a chance to paralyze, and also gets the power boost from Iron Fist. So for those of you who may or not remember, back on my second team, I actually did use an Infernape briefly there. Didn't really work out too well. It didn't jive with the team so much, so I ended up cutting it. But I decided to bring it back on this one because it is a very cool Pokemon. I really enjoy it, and it ended up working out very well on this team, so glad that that turned out that way. So next we have Gastrodon, And Gastrodon is modest, trained for HP and special attack, so it is the special tank of the team. The ability is Storm Drain, which not only gives it an immunity to water-type attacks, which is very useful in and of itself, but when it's hit with a water-type attack, it also increases its special attack, so that is incredibly useful in battle, since not many Pokemon can become immune to water-type attacks, and water-type attacks are usually very popular and very useful in battle. So that's a big plus for him. The item is the Leftovers to regain some HP at the end of each turn, which is very useful in helping him survive longer in battle. The moveset for most to least important, number 1 would be Scald for power, coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to burn, which is nice. Next, I would go with Recover for health restoration. You regain half of your health when using this move, which again is very important to facilitate his role as a tank, to let him survive longer in battle. Then we have Ice Beam for power, coverage, accuracy, and a chance to freeze, which is nice. And finally, Earth Power for more power, coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to lower special defense as well. So this thing, I have to say, is very underrated. It worked out very well for me in battle. You typically don't see them too often in battle, but this guy was incredibly useful out in battle. So very, very underrated Pokemon, and had a lot of fun using it. Next up is Dusknoir, and Dusknoir is Adamant, trained for HP and attack, so it is the physical tank of the team. The ability is Pressure, basically because it has to be, which increases the PP usage of all of the opponent's Pokemon's moves, which isn't the most useful thing in the world, but can be useful in certain situations if you're in a stalling war with them. So the item is the Choice Band, which gives it a huge increase in attack power in exchange for locking into one move, which complements the move set very well. Going down that, number 1 move would have to be Earthquake for power, coverage, and accuracy. Then we have Shadow Sneak for coverage, accuracy, stab, and most importantly, priority, which is always nice to have, especially on a slower Pokemon like him. Then we have Ice Punch for power, coverage, accuracy, and a chance to freeze. And then finally, Brick Break for some more power, coverage, accuracy, and also breaks light screens and reflects, which is actually more useful than it sounds, because I have seen a little bit of a resurgence in competitive play of dual screeners. So it's usually nice to have one of your Pokemon have that move just to get those out of the way, because they can be very annoying. So I just want to say the Dusknoir was incredibly useful, incredibly powerful on this team. Really caught a lot of people off guard with it, with the offensive set that I chose to use, because again, you don't see him too much in competitive play. So and when you do, mostly you see a defensive set with Will-O-Wisp, Protect, Pain Split, that kind of thing. So offensive Dusknoirs are really few and far between. So I was able to catch a lot of people off guard with this thing, and it worked out very well for me. Very enjoyable to use in battle. So next up is Ferrothorn, and Ferrothorn is Adamant, trained for attack and defense, so it is the physical wall of the team. The ability is Iron Barbs because it has to be, but also works very well in combination with the Rocky Helmet, the item, which basically they both do the same thing. Whenever an opponent's Pokemon makes contact with it, they take damage, which can be very useful for a Pokemon like this, since it is a physical wall. So you can, if you can switch this guy in at a good time, you can really catch your opponent and inflict a lot of damage to them with the combination of those two. It's a pretty common strategy in a competitive play on Ferrothorn. So, but it works out very well. The moveset from most to least important, number 1 would have to be Power Whip for power coverage, accuracy, and stab. Next up would be Stealth Rock to get the entry hazard set up, which is big in competitive play, has been for the longest time. And that's typically the main use for this guy on most teams is Stealth Rock Layer, although I try to diversify him a little bit and use him for a little more than just that, but very useful for that purpose. Next up would be Knockoff for power coverage, accuracy, and most importantly gets rid of the opponent's held item, which can be very useful, especially if you're in a stalling war with this guy or trying to take down a wall or tank. Getting rid of their item can be key to taking them out. And then finally we have Ironhead for some more power coverage, accuracy, stab, and also has a chance to flinch, but that rarely, if ever, comes into play because Ferrothorn is pretty much one of the slowest Pokemon in the game, so that not going to come into play too much. So finally we have Florges, and Florges is modest, trained for special attack and special defense, so it is the special wall of the team. The ability is Flower Veil, which prevents other grass-type Pokemon on your team from having their stats lowered, which unfortunately is completely useless in single battles because it does absolutely nothing in that situation. It only comes into play in double, triple, or multi-battles. So, but unfortunately it is its ability, so nothing I can do about that. The item is the Assault Vest, which gives a huge special defense increase in exchange for not being able to use status moves. So this is kind of the catch-22 with a Pokemon like Florges, is it has a phenomenal special defense stat, but unfortunately its attack set is not very big. So you kind of have to make a decision of whether you want to sacrifice using status moves in exchange for that huge special defense increase. I, being the more offensive player that I am, decided I wanted to go that road, so the Assault Vest is on there for that reason. The moveset is then going to be completely offensive because I can't use status moves in combination with the Assault Vest. So from most to least important, number 1 would be Moonblast for power coverage, accuracy, stab, and a chance to lower special attack, which can be good. Then I would say Psychic for power coverage, accuracy, and a chance to lower special defense. Then we have Energy Ball for some more power coverage, accuracy, and also a chance to lower special defense. And finally, Hidden Power Ground for some coverage and accuracy. And as a small aside, Ground actually does hit the 3 types that Fairy is not very effective against. It hits super effectively. So that's really the reason behind that. Those 2 attack types together give you universal coverage over all 18 types, at least neutral damage. So that is a great combination there for Florges. So that is pretty much it for this team. I had a lot of fun using it, I have to say. It was very successful as well for me. But as is always the case with the channel, I'm going to be putting this team aside from here on out to focus on some different things. And actually, it's a little bit of exciting news for the channel. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a different direction from here on out. Instead of building a new team for one, I'm going to be recombining my old teams into some different teams and using those in battles for a while. Also, I'm going to try and get some double, triple, and multi-battles going on the channel, because up until this point I've only been doing singles, so I'm going to try and get some of those other battle types up as well. And also, I'm going to be starting a new series of videos called Top 5s, where I'm going to be counting down the top 5 Pokemon of each type. So I have a lot of exciting stuff planned for the future of the channel for you guys. Thanks for watching. Again, as always, feel free to like and or comment on the video, as well as subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for all of that stuff in the future. So that's it, and we will see you next time.